Okay, so I've been having a persistent problem of this engine warning light coming up. So the P1105C /$07E. There we go. So I have a suspicion what it is, and I've got some BMW goodies to try and fix it, but I am going to show you where I'm at in the troubleshooting of it, because if someone else gets the same problem it might help them out. So code's still there, it's active. I'm not going to erase it because I want to see if actually what I do makes a difference. So here we go. Okay, so what I originally did, so basically that code means that there is incorrect amount of air coming to the mass airflow sensor, which sits in this box. And basically you've got the air filter and then the mass airflow sensor sits here. So first of all, I took the air box out, the air filter, just made sure there wasn't anything blocking there. The other thing is I took the mass airflow sensor out and cleaned it with some isopropyl alcohol. I wasn't convinced it was any problem with that because it just looked so fresh to death and nothing really came out of it. And then I did a leak test with the smoke machine that I've got here. This one's Ansel. And then I found that there was a lot of smoke coming out of the connection here, which I think is like an intercooler pipe or something that connects to the shutter valve and then goes all the way down to the radiator down there. So there is a gasket that sits on the inside of that, and I originally had put it round the wrong way, and then when I replaced it I put a bit of silicone grease with it and it stopped the code immediately, so I'm suspicious it's that gasket. So I'm going to replace both the one there and the one down there. But before I do that, I'm going to run the leak test again with the smoke machine just to have another look around, because why not? Ideally, what you should do is take all of this out to have a look when you're doing the leak test that there is any smoke coming from under here. Interestingly, when I did it the first time, there was a little bit of smoke coming through the mechanism of the intake manifold flaps, and weirdly where the actual arm is inside this motor there was a gap there and smoke was coming out. So I put a little rubber washer in there and that seemed to stop that, but I don't think it's a real big problem, but there was a bit of dirt around there. I know people have lots of opinions on the swirl flaps. I'm not removing mine. I've inspected them, cleaned them, and I think they're fine. So to show you how this machine connects, as I say, this one's supposed to be quite a good one that's fairly affordable, and it comes with lots of different adapters. The oil that you can use inside, just get yourself some Johnson's baby oil. That's a mineral oil, it's very cheap, and it has a little reservoir on the side you fill up on the top. So I've connected it here. I've put a rubber glove around here just because some of the connecting things they have aren't big enough to fit in here, and I've put the small connector in through a finger of the glove and then taped it around there. When you actually wire it up to the battery, always connect your negative terminal first and then put your positive terminal on. I just think that's always good practice, isn't it? And then it should work. I'm going to let it warm up a little bit because it has to warm up to make the smoke, but we'll see what happens. So when you're using the machine, you've got to have that side on to actually produce smoke. I've definitely got pressure in the system. Look at that, bloody hell. So I've had a good look around. There is definitely pressure in that system, so if there are any leaks we should be seeing smoke. I'm not seeing anything, which is always a good thing. Nothing down there, nothing around there, nada. Gonna give this a little wiggle. It's not doing anything. Right, I'm going to pop this off now and see if that's the cause. So you can see now, obviously there was flow through because you can see the smoke coming. So I'm going to take this whole pipe off and do those seals. Let's see. So this is the pipe off, and you see you've got this little gaskety thing there. And then on the other end, it's on this side. I'm going to try and remember how they go on, because you've got to make sure you get them round the right way. And then we'll see if that fixes things. If I put this in here, let's see how this feels. To me, it just feels like it's lost its pliability. How about this one? Yeah, it doesn't feel as good. I'm going to try and remember that's the way that went on. I'm going to give this a little clean up, and then I'll go grab the other ones. Okay, let's have a look at the pliability test. So that's new. Oh yeah, this feels just much more rigid. This one feels a bit floppy. I'm not going to move that one, because that's going to remember the way it goes in. But let's get these bad boys in and see how we get on. So I've put them back in. It's actually quite hard to fit them in. You have to gently tease it in. It's a very snug fit. And I've put a little bit of just some pure silicone grease on there, which rubbers are okay with. Pop that in there. So I'm going to pop it back in and let's see what happens. So just ran the leak testing smoke machine again, and I'm not seeing anything, although I didn't see anything before. So let's see if the code goes away. So I've got quite a lot of things disconnected at the moment. First things first, I need to probably disconnect this, otherwise it will try and suck it into the engine, which wouldn't be a good thing to happen. And I'll disconnect the smoke machine, but we shall see if that works. So a little update as to where I got with changing the seals and things. So when I put everything back together, I was still getting the engine light code coming up, and when it was the pipe was actually disconnected before, when I plugged it all back in, it all the code went away straight away. So I thought it was a bit weird. So I cleaned the mass airflow sensor again, put that in, no difference. Cleaned the throttle body just externally. I didn't take it all off because that's a pain in the arse, and no difference. So I gave it a little drive, and well, I was actually on the way to go somewhere because I use this car every day, and I could hear this whistle of the turbo much louder than usual on the motorway, and then that changed to just an air sound, and I had no power. You know, when you put your foot down, it was just muddy. So I pulled over and popped the hood and saw that the bottom end of that elephant trunk pipe had actually popped itself off. So moral of the story is, when you put the pipe back, just make sure you've got lots of space. So I ended up taking out the little you know, there's the air vent that goes from the radiator and transfers into the air filter. Pop that out of the way. That meant I could get access to the bottom end of the pipe, and if you really want to give yourself good access, you can take off all of the, you know, where the windscreen is, you've got all that guttering and stuff. But yeah, I managed to pop it all back in, but yeah, the bottom end had popped off, and I guess the pressure you know, at speed, it just it off. So you have to make sure you get the seals properly, you have to make sure you plug it in properly. Honestly, I know that these are probably my errors, but it's just interesting, isn't it? You know, it may help someone, and you know, when you're an amateur, this is how things go. Anyway, so I've been driving it now for 200 miles since then, and there's been no error code. The car is driving really nicely. There's no, the miles per gallon is back up. On the motorway I can get about 52, 54. If I'm going around town, it will drop down to about 47, 48. Bear in mind I've got a full-size spare wheel in the boot, and often carrying lots of other people. So yeah, fun and games. So anyway, all of that said, sorted that. The next thing I've got happening is tomorrow I'm going to get my timing chain done by BM Minitech in Colchester. So they were mentioned in one of the X1 groups, and basically when you look them up on Facebook, pretty much all they do is N47 timing chains. And the thing that I liked about them, I did do a lot of other ringing around and contacting places. They were the cheapest. That always helps. They got back to me very quickly. Well, initially it wasn't, but then when I messaged them on the actual Facebook social media, they then instantly realised they'd missed my email and got back to me. So I've been quoted, or estimate, about 1,600, whatever, and that includes OEM parts, the upgraded chain, tensioner, guide rail things, gasket for the rocker, which I gather is where you take the top of the engine bit off, and then that's where you can actually see the crankshaft, don't know, bits. And you get an oil change. So to me, an oil change, if it's I'll be interested to see what oil they use actually, whether it's BMW or something else. You get an aircon regas, so oil change, aircon regas. I'm already 100 quid, 120 quid if I was to even, well, I can't do aircon myself, but that's the kind of cost for it. And just when you look at their videos and their pictures and things, they just seem very meticulous, and there's no hidden, literally they show everything. They take like nice pictures of, the car looking, sort of staged, but you can just tell that they care, whereas everyone else didn't even tell me what was included in the estimates. I mean, BMW, I'd imagine, is probably about £4,000. And then, there was a few other garages where I guess the closer you get to London, it gets more expensive. And the good thing about this place is they say they can do it in the morning. So what I gather is they have two guys that do it together, which is a nice thing as well. It means that if someone forgot something, didn't tighten something, someone's checking it. You got to think this is like fundamental. And I know that sounds stupid, but I have had experiences personally of stuff going wrong in garages. But I take my family, my dad's had stuff where, like, I don't know, wheel bolts haven't been put on properly and the wheel's fallen off as he's driving away. It's just not great. But when it's something, your engine, it's pretty bad. And when I asked them some questions about stuff like, is it worth getting the clutch and flywheel done at the same time, they said, yeah, you can do, but generally it's only if they've been thrashed. And I was like, well, I'm not having any problems with the clutch as I can gather, and the actual difference in the cost, I think the labour works out is about £400 if I was to get it done at a later date, because the idea is you're pulling the whole engine out, it might be worth doing it at the same time. And I was like, I'll get it done if it needs to be done. I asked them about doing the glow plugs, and they said don't touch them, because if you're not getting any problems, you can find that they seize and snap. And I was like, well, that's good that they're being honest about. I mean, it sounds like it's not a fun job to do, but they could have upsold the clutch and flywheel and stuff, and they haven't. And they've gotten back to me and they explained to me why the price was slightly different for the e84 as opposed to other BMWs that I've heard people have had estimates for, and it's because I think it takes longer or something, or don't know, who knows, could be the parts. I can't remember what they said, but it seemed reasonable. And yeah, so I'm there 8 o'clock tomorrow. Gonna have to leave really early because you can never know with Dart whether you're going to get across or not. You could get stuck. So what I was going to do is kind of document the process, and if they're good, please be good. Don't break my car. I think you have to just trust professionals, don't you? I'm a professional in, not in this, but in other things, and you do just have to trust the training. But what I was going to do is actually take a little video of the sound of the car at the moment, and then after, I'm going to actually ask them if I can have the old chain, just to show my dad and my bro who are into this kind of stuff. And I think what they'll do is they might call you over to have a look at certain stages. It'll just be really interesting to see inside the engine. Given that this car has been well maintained, it was originally a demo vehicle for BMW, and then the first owner was very meticulous, and then it became my mum's, and it's had, for I think that they got it about 40,000 miles, and it's now done 100,000 miles with oil changes every 5,000 miles, and you know, just general, it's not been abused. You know, certainly my mum wasn't doing handbrake turns in it, and neither am I. So yeah, I was going to see what it looks like inside, if I can. And but yeah, I'll do a video of how the engine sounds now, because it does have a slight, interestingly, before I got this car, I noticed that there was quite a loud rattle whir sound that matched with the engine, and particularly in low gear going down speed bumps on a big hill. It was just like and then it went away when I actually became the owner of it, and the difference that I've now ascertained is that it was previously holding Miller's oil in the engine, and then it went to BMW for a service before I got it, and they put BMW oil in it, and whether the viscosity or whatever meant that the chain was then not rattling as much, and then I did a service with Miller's oil in between, and then it came back. At the moment it seems to not be doing it. I don't know why. Maybe because the ambient temperature is much warmer at the moment. This is British summertime. You're looking about 18 degrees. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll just do a little video of how it sounds now, and let you know how I get on with getting the chain done. Okay, so it's not technically a cold start because it's 18 degrees outside, but here we go. Switch the fan off. Okay, let's go under the hood. So yeah, I think at the moment it sounds pretty sweet, but we shall see.